Welcome back to episode 33 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Oh boy. Uh Baseball changed last night for now and the foreseeable future, and I'm sure you guys definitely want to hear what I have to say about it. We do have other stuff, but first, Matt, it's myself and Matt today. Matt, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Um, I will say happy Kobe Day to you. I thought that's how you'd start the day off, maybe, or the episode off. But
Yes, I was going to get to that. Happy Kobe Day in Los Angeles. It is Kobe Bryant Day, 8/24. His birthday was yesterday, 8/23, and they just announced today that he's finally going to get a statue next season, and I will be there for that. But yeah, so special day today here in Los Angeles. We still miss him, but yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today.
we sure do. Not anything really that we want to talk about. I mean, there is interesting things and lots of great conversations, but not really anything on the positive side, I don't think, today. Not very thrilling topics. And even the couple things that we thought about adding on weren't thrilling topics either. They're both negative things too. So
Yeah, baseball is hey, I mean, these negative things happen for different reasons, but we got to talk about them, and there'll be brighter days ahead. But just looking at the rundown for today, of course, Shohei Ohtani tears his UCL. He's done pitching for the season, but he is still going to hit, and then we'll discuss of what that means for him and his pending free agency coming up in 2 months. White Sox fire the GM and the executive vice president. Some White Sox fans are saying that's not enough. And then Orioles owner had some comments. And maybe we'll talk about something else, but those are the three topics today. Let's just jump right into it, Matt. Let's jump right into this Otani stuff.
yeah, I mean, Shohei Ohtani, obviously, we're not breaking any news on this pod, but just so you know what we're talking about, tours UCL in game one of a doubleheader yesterday, and they didn't know right off the bat he wasn't his arm didn't fall off out there on the mound, but he was pitching and um felt some discomfort in his elbow. Trainer came out, he left the game. We weren't sure exactly what was going on, and we found out maybe 3 hours later that night. I don't know exactly when, but we found out later that night. Then torn UCL. As of right now, not sure about Tommy John. He's already had that once, and it is partially torn. I should say that it's a partially torn UCL from what I've heard. So that's not 100% sure that he would have to get Tommy John, but a lot of times you do. And then you start diving into guys who have gotten Tommy John twice in their career. First of all, not a high percent of those come back and pitch in Major League Baseball again. Second of all, if you do, not a lot of them pitch at a very high level again. So when you put that into perspective and see that this Shohei Ohtani is a great hitter, trust me, don't get me wrong, great hitter, great offensive player. But what made him so unique, what separated him from Ronald Acuna, from at the time, maybe 2 years ago, last year, Fernando Tatis, what separates him from Aaron Judge is that he was elite on the pitching mound as well. And none of those guys could pitch a full season. So this is taking away half of his special sauce. I mean, it's really Shohei is not Shohei if he's not doing both. He's right now, he's still going to be hitting, like you said. He's still a elite hitter. If this doesn't affect his hitting at all, he's still an elite hitter. But there's no saying that it couldn't affect his hitting. Bryce Harper didn't hit very great this year coming off of his surgery. That's a little different, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not feeling very positive about this.
Yeah. First of all, Angel fans, I am not. I know we have a very l- different relationship. We probably don't like each other for obvious reasons. This is not the day for me to say I told you so. This is not that day. I'm not. uh, Listen, I don't like the Angels calling themselves LA. I don't like the way they handled the Ohtani stuff. This is not the day for me to dump on you. I felt horrible for Angel fans yesterday because yes, they're 10 and a half games out of the wild card spot, and honestly, their season's probably done. And to top it all off, Mike Trout is going back on the IL, not even 24 hours after coming back from a hand injury.
Terrible.
It just keeps getting worse and worse for the Angels. Some people say it's bad luck. Some people say it's poor management. I don't know what it is, but for some reason, every year, something bad always happens to the Angels. Now, I think most people would agree with me that if Ohtani and Trout were in the lineup every day, I still don't think the Angels are good enough. And I said that even after they made all the moves at the deadline, I still didn't think they were going to be good enough to get in. But I just, you know, I just can't imagine what the Angel fan is feeling today or how they woke up feeling today. You know, a month ago, they made all these trades for Giolito. You know, they brought in Mike Moustakas. The Angel fan was able to talk themselves into, you know what? Maybe it will be different this time. We're 3 games out of a wild card spot. Hey, we could make a run for this.
Yeah.
Ohtani's the best player in the world right now. Why not? And then a month later, Angels continue to play bad, and then all this stuff happens last night. I don't know how this is going to affect Shohei Ohtani pending free agency, which Angel fans probably don't want to hear that right now. I am leaning towards the side of the $800 million that was floating around there for Ohtani that was seemed like a lock. I don't think that's going to happen anymore. It might just be me overreacting in the moment, and maybe in November or December when he decides to sign with the team, maybe he'll still get the 8-figure contract. I don't see it. And for my team, the Dodgers, who are very interested in him, I really wouldn't be surprised if this second Tommy John surgery turns him off a little bit. I would not be surprised because the Dodger front office, they're very smart. They have never really overpaid for anybody. They'll go get somebody if they need to. They'll go get Freddie Freeman. They'll go get, Yu Darvish at a trade deadline. They'll go get Manny Machado. They'll do what they need to do to put the best product on the field every season. What they will not do is overspend or overpay on somebody. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers come into this offseason now saying, Shohei Ohtani, we really want you here, but we don't know about your lingering elbow issue. You could potentially have 2 Tommy John surgeries. I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers said, you know what? We'll make a good run at Ohtani, but if some team like the Angels or the Giants or the Mariners want to quote unquote overpay for him, go for it.
I think maybe the structure of his contract is going to look a little different now. It's might not be a 13, 15-year deal. And who knows, maybe that's not what Shohei had in mind anyway. As far as I know, nothing's really been out there. It's just everybody has assumed it would be this long 800 million, 700 million deal contract. And who knows, maybe now it's okay, we'll give you 2 years, 50 apiece. 50 million apiece. And there's a couple parts to that. One, all right, so we get him for next year. Maybe you don't even want to risk him pitching next year. If he has surgery, he can't probably till maybe the very end of next year. Who knows? I mean, science is getting better, health doctors are getting better for sure. So I don't want to put a limit on it, but let's just say hypothetically, Shohei gets Tommy John surgery, can't pitch next year. So you still have a full year of him hitting. And then let's say the second year he can pitch, boom, he pitches elite again. Now he's back on for that massive deal after a revival season in the second year of that contract. So for Shohei, that's good. I mean, you're still getting, let's just say 50 million a year. That's crazy. That's the highest average annual value for any player. So you're still getting paid an insane amount of money. And then you're also leaving yourself an opportunity to get paid a bigger paycheck again after you prove yourself. There could be options, team options. Maybe he signs a 7-year deal or something and has an option after the first or the second season, whatever it would be, whatever he thinks his timeline may be, where he can opt out and say, well, I think either after this season I'm going to be able to pitch again, or after the season I just played, I'm going to be able to, or I just pitched. So I think I'm going to be able to make more money. I'm going to go out there and sign a better deal. There's a lot of ways this contract can look. And I think that it can also open avenues up for new teams to be interested, because there are teams that are willing to spend $100 million across 2 seasons, but who obviously can't front 700 million, 600 million, even though it's across so much time. So maybe that brings in new teams, like even some of the richer teams who weren't mentioned before, big spenders, the Red Sox. Could the Yankees change their minds? I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen there with Cashman and Aaron Boone after this season. Who knows? Maybe the Steinbrenners will decide to spend again. But like those 2 teams come to mind. The Phillies, the Rangers have shown they want to spend money. The Astros aren't afraid to spend money. The Braves don't usually spend money, but I mean, anybody wants to get in the Shohei business, really. The Cubs have shown they spend money. All these teams, maybe they're not interested in an $800 million contract, but hey, we'll take Shohei for 2 years for $100 million. We'll take that hitting for a couple of years, and then we'll see what happens afterwards. I don't know. That's where my mind went with all of this.
Yeah, and I think my mind immediately went the other way. It's like whoever signs him is probably going to get him on a discount, quote unquote. But again, you just laid out everything else. It's like the contract could look totally different now. This just made the Ohtani sweepstakes so much more fascinating. Not because he got hurt. That's horrible. I don't want to make it seem like him getting hurt was a good thing, because it's not. It's horrible. It's gonna be so fascinating to watch Ohtani. He's already looked at in a microscope. I can't even imagine now. And I think
Yeah.
these teams want to know: is he getting Tommy John surgery? Yes or no? I'm sure every team is gonna want to know that question by November 5th. They're gonna want to know: is he gonna need Tommy John surgery or not?
Yeah. And
The offensive player is still incredible. Otani's gonna hit 50 home runs
oh
again this
yeah.
season.
Yeah. And that's a $200 million, $300 million contract, the way contracts look now. I mean, he's getting, or he's making Aaron Judge production on offense, and Judge just signed a huge deal. So don't get me wrong here. Either way, Shohei's going to get paid. It just depends on if he thinks and if teams think he'll be able to pitch at an elite rate again after he gets Tommy John, or if he goes just the rest and recovery, natural healing route, which there have been pitchers who have tried that and avoided surgery and hoping your body could heal itself up. Um, who knows though?
Yeah, who knows? And like I said, just going back to my team for a second, I really I want to know, will this second Tommy John surgery maybe push the Dodgers away,
Yeah.
scare them off a little bit,
Yeah.
and that, like you just mentioned, it brings in other teams that maybe we're not in that are now could potentially make a pitch.
Uh, I want to talk legacy a little bit now, and with Trout and Ohtani. Trout, obviously, three-time MVP, I believe, right? So great prime, insane career. But he hasn't played a full season in a long time, and he's gotten consistently injured for landed on the IL for years, 3 years in a row, something like that. How much do you think that affects his legacy? And then also with Shohei, if he quit right now, says I'm done in the major leagues. Obviously, that's not going to happen because at the very least he can hit. But like if he called it quits right now, or if he doesn't ever pitch again, let's just say that, or he can't pitch at an elite rate again, does does that take away from his legacy? Like how much and like in him being a Hall of Fame player?
The answer the Otani one first, I don't think it does because he was so good when he was doing both, and we've seen enough sample size that if he just sticks to hitting, dude's gonna average 30 to 40 home runs a season. I think he'll be okay, and I think he'll still be a Hall of Famer because if he keeps up this rate, he's gonna be one of the best players, if not the best, to come out of that country in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely means a lot to me. And to answer the Trout stuff, it's difficult because we've seen what he can do in a full 162. We've seen it. Now, a part of it could just be he's getting up there in age and your body wears down and you can't do some of the things that you were able to do a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
I think he'll be okay, but the ceiling and the numbers could have been a lot better if he would have just stayed healthy. Maybe another 1 or 2 seasons. They're still Hall of Fame players, and they're still
Yeah.
going to be Angel greats. But especially, I think for Trout, there is going to be a question of, well, what if he just stayed healthy another 2 years? What would have that been? And where would his numbers be right now?
Yeah. Uh, Trout, age 32 right now. So he's still got some years left, so to say. Um, Trying to find a quick comparison here of another Hall of Fame player at 32. Uh, I don't know. The A Rod's a great one because I don't know if that's when he was.
On the
No, yeah, it would
juice?
have been. That would have been pre-Roids. A Rod, 2008. Yeah, he played 138 games, 35 home runs, 302 average, 392 on base, 573 slugging. So like he was still elite at 32. And not that Trout isn't across 162 games, but it's just when you're getting hurt so much. It's how much does that really affect how people view you and think about you at the end of your career when you're just missing all these games left and right all the time, But you got anything else you want to add on Shohei or Mike Trout?
It's unfortunate for the Angels. Really is. I can't stress that enough. I'm not faking it. I'm not like I generally feel awful for Angel fans. But this team could look a lot different in the next couple seasons.
All right, now, sadly, we're not moving on to any better news necessarily. Moving from one sad, not very great story to another, I guess, sort of disgruntled, messed up situation, whatever you want to say. Not very nice situation. From one messy franchise to another. Chicago White Sox. Um, I don't want to say it's unexpectedly, but they just went out, fired their general manager, um, Rick Hahn, and their vice president, executive vice president, Ken Williams. And a lot of this obviously stemming from the White Sox struggles this year and past couple of years, and a lot of reports coming out about bad locker room vibes, just not a lot of leadership there. So, what were you thinking when you heard this, when you saw this?
Sucks because it's not surprising. Um, Unfortunately, somebody had to get the short end of the stick of this. Somebody was going to pay a price for how bad this team was this season. Keeps getting worse again. It keeps getting worse for White Sox. It's like I said. We've already done this whole thing of just 2 years ago they had this core and it looks like they were the team of the future. Then 2 years later, it's all done.
Yeah.
Not surprising. Now, what was surprising? They just keep bringing back Tony La Russa. They just don't want to. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about him. I understand he's a Hall of Famer. I get all that. What? Why are we doing business with Tony La Russa still? I understand it's in a different role, which I don't even know what the role is. What is it, like assistant something
I
or
don't know, but it
something
doesn't
along those?
matter. The man
Doesn't
is
matter.
130 years old. He
That is
fell
correct,
asleep in the dugout. He's out of touch with baseball anymore. Okay.
and we learned that 2 years ago.
Yeah. Jerry Jerry Reisendorf, the owner of the White Sox, also owner of the Chicago Bulls. Go watch The Last Dance. You'll see maybe why some people didn't like him from that. Um, he's not renowned as a great owner, and we'll get into another owner story here in a second. It's never great news when the owners are in the headlines, and in this case, he's at the end of the day, it's his decision to fire these guys. Basically, I mean, the only other guy who can fire the vice president is the president of baseball operations, and I'll be honest, I don't know who that is because it's not really an important job. GM's more important and well known than the president of baseball operations, but it has to have come from the owner, you would think. And the question sort of is, do the problems stem the whole way down? These culture issues that they have, and of course, building the roster to compete is on the GM and on these guys in the front office, but is the culture on them too, do you think, or is that more on the players?
I think that's more on the players. The GM can only do so much. The GM's job is to put a good ball club on the field. Now, what happens when in the dugout and what happens in the clubhouse is completely up to the players. I think. Yeah, the owner and the GM can, you know, they can have a little part in why the chemistry is so great or why it's so toxic. But evidently it's what the 26 guys in that clubhouse do. And we found out that the vibes were not good. And it showed how they played on the field this season.
Yeah. Um, I think part of it's on management for not um if you're not able to identify leaders and stuff within the clubhouse and you're not able to build a roster that's I don't want to say gets along because you don't have to necessarily get along to be a great team. Um, but you do need to function well together. And if you're putting a bunch of these guys with who knows, maybe toxic personalities, maybe not together, then it's you're not putting yourself in a good situation there. And the White Sox, like we always say, on paper, they're great. So on paper, the general manager did a good job. But then what happens on the baseball side? Whether that's with the players, whether that's they're picking up guys or they still have guys who on paper in our heads they're good, but Tim Anderson's not who he was 2 years ago or last year. He's not been very good at all, but we still sort of hold him in that level, at least maybe before halfway through the season, that he's this batting champ that he was, all-star, all that stuff. So, I mean, I'm hoping that the White Sox can turn it around here, and this is the first step for them because, I mean, it's never great to see a franchise down in the dumps like they are. And whether that's a full on, even bigger sell off and restart, getting rid of Eloy, getting rid of Luis Robert, getting rid of Tim Anderson, getting rid of Dylan Cease, if that's hitting rock bottom, getting rid of all those guys, it is what it is. I mean, maybe this isn't the core. That's at the end of the day, maybe that's the case.
Yeah, and again, we're gonna know in the next couple of months what this team's gonna do. Are they gonna try and sell more pieces off? Are they gonna try to build around this core now?
Yeah.
Maybe they're thinking that they're just let's just get all the garbage, for lack of a better word. Let's just get all the garbage out of here, and then we'll just continue to grow from this. We'll see though.
Yeah. I
Go Bears.
That's right.
The Packer fans saying that. That doesn't
Yeah.
sound right. It's okay. They're not gonna do anything anyways.
You're not scared of Justin Fields.
No, I wasn't scared of Jay Cutler. I wasn't scared of any other ones.
Fair enough. Um, we'll move on to the Orioles owner. He had some quotes, and I'll read them off here for you. They're not great. You don't love to hear this, and this is what he had to say. He said, and this is in regards to signing a lot of the young players they have, their young core. He said, let's say we sat down and showed you the financials for the Orioles. You'll quickly see that when people talk about giving this player 200 million, that player 150 million, we would be so financially underwater that you'd have to raise the prices massively. Now, are people going to come and pay that? I don't know if we're at the limit. To your point, I don't know if we're in equilibrium, elasticity, supply and demand. Maybe we are, but really, that's just one team. What I'm really trying to think about is macro, and what he's saying there. If you couldn't understand the business side of it, is that he's saying the Orioles cannot afford to pay, that the Angelos family cannot afford to pay Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman. I don't think Rutschman has a long-term deal yet. I don't believe so. Um, all these guys, because there's countless other ones. There's at least three other ones that I didn't
Some
even
of them are
mention.
not even in the majors right now. Jackson Holiday.
Jackson
If they
Holiday,
want to do, let's see what he turns out to be.
Grayson Rodriguez. You want to sign him to a long-term deal? All these guys. He said we don't have the money to do this. According to him, they're not the only team that doesn't have the money to do this, and all this kind of basically, from our perspective, seems like lies. It just seems like it seems like excuses for being cheap. And he's saying he would have to raise the prices of stuff at the stadium, tickets, food, all the merchandise and all that kind of stuff in order to pay for this. All right. I could be totally wrong here, but from my understanding, a lot of these owners are not paying the contracts of these players from concessions and ticket prices and merchandise sales. I could be totally wrong in that, but from what I have always understood, that's not where you're necessarily making a ton of money. Not enough to, yeah, out of just those, I don't think you're making enough to sign five players to $200 million contracts. But you're a millionaire. I don't know. You could be a billionaire, their family. I have no idea. This is an investment for your company, the Orioles as a company. Okay. I invest in this microphone in order to put a better podcast out there. This microphone could be named Adley Rutschman for the Orioles, and my webcam could be Jackson Holiday, and I'm out here putting out a better show because I was willing to pay for these. And guess what? In the long run, hopefully it can make us more money. Business 101 right there for you. I'm sorry, I'm going on a little rant here. So Mello, what do you got to say?
This is why, and here I come with the big bad boy, you know, big spending money team like the Dodgers. This is why I don't want. This is why I don't want a salary cap. This is exactly why. Oh, it's part of it. Why do the teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Giants, Cubs, these big market teams that spend a whole bunch of money to put a good product on the field? Why do we have to suffer? Phillies, yes, I'm sorry, I completely forgot about the Phillies. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner. Sorry. Uh, why do teams like us? Why do we have to suffer? And why do we have to spend less money to make sure the Oakland A's, the Washington, oh, not the Washington Nationals, because they're in a different situation. The Oakland A's and the Baltimore
Rays,
Orioles, Rays, why do we have to
Marlins,
suffer, Marlins, why do we have to suffer to make sure that they can not have to spend that much money on their ball club? Why do us big teams have to suffer? And that's why I don't want a salary cap. And I think if you ask some of these big market teams, I think they'd agree with me. This is why we don't want that crap in the league. Another thing, you know, the Baltimore Orioles have been abysmal. They were the laughing stock of the league for a couple years. 110 losses a season. It was not pretty. The
who?
one freaking year that they have a good ball club on the team, the one year they're winning the AL East, they're gonna probably get one of the buys in the playoffs this year. Freaking owner keeps putting his foot in his mouth.
Yeah,
Can the Oriole fan have? Can they not have any fun? Can they enjoy what they're watching right now? He already opened his mouth once with the broadcaster Kevin Brown. That's where he messed up first, and now this basically saying I'm too cheap to spend any money on my players. Why the Oriole fan has to be wanting to blow their head off right now? The one year we have a good team, and our owner's gonna come out and say he's basically cheap, and he gets offended and hurt by any little thing said negative about his ball club. What? I would be going bananas if I was an Oriole fan right now. I'm like, will you shut up and just enjoy this good baseball team that we have finally after a couple years? The Orioles did it the right way. They develop guys. They're drafting guys. I know it. 110 losses a season probably wasn't nice. They went through the process. Now they're competing. You just said it. The payoff is going to be so much greater if you can keep this core intact and they keep winning. I, I would be so upset if I was an Orioles fan right now. It's like we can't enjoy this. We can't enjoy this great season.
yeah, and two things. One, I know that I think it was the GM, but it may have been the owner. I don't remember. Earlier in the season, there were comments that came from the Orioles franchise somewhere in there about I think it was trade deadline, and it was said, "No, I don't see us going out and getting a big, making a big splash because we weren't expecting to be here at this point." Well, what's it matter if you were expecting to be here or not? There are quite a few big names that can go out there and put your team over the edge in World Series competition territory. I mean, they're already, depending who you ask, people don't like that they're young, but depending who you ask, they're already in that category in World Series contenders. Second thing, you said about, we both said about, spending money to make money. And you said about them building it the right way. There's something to be said too, though, about the Dodgers haven't been bad for so many years. And they do not strictly go out and buy all their players, unlike common belief. This is not the Yankees of whenever that was, 80s, 90s, where they just went out and signed the best player. And that's not the strategy for a lot of these good teams anymore. My Phillies are one of the worst because we have gone out and signed a lot of our players or traded for them. Traded isn't quite as bad. As bad. I say that it's not bad. It's not like it's illegal, but or cheating or anything. But like, you spend money and you're gonna be better. It's as simple as that. You had Manny Machado. You could have kept Manny Machado, and he could be contributing right now to your franchise, but you weren't willing to pay him. And I don't know how those pieces have shaken out for the Orioles that the Dodgers gave. I think I saw it earlier this year, and it didn't actually. There are not really any names there.
We have a track record of fleecing teams in these trades. Go ask the Red Sox how their trade for Mookie Betts was.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, just invest a little money in your team. You don't want to be a 110 loss team again. Okay, go out and sign these guys. Keep them around. Don't trade them once they get past their 2 or 3 years of arbitration and say, hey, market says we're worth $200 million. That's what we want. And if you're not going to give us that, we're going to leave. Don't let it get to that point. The Braves, I don't think they have any $300 million deals or even 200 million. I don't think. And look at them. They're set up for the next 10, 15, maybe years. They went out and signed guys when they were young. Go right ahead. Be my guest, Orioles. Sign all these guys. Adley Rutschman seems like a surefire, one of the top 5 catchers for years upon years to come. You don't have to spend 300 million there. You could probably sign him right now to, I don't know. I shouldn't put it out, but maybe 190, maybe 200. I don't know. But you got to sign these guys young, and you'll save yourself some money then.
And if you don't want to, you don't want to invest money in your ball club, then get out of the chair. Sell the team. Simple as that. Get out of the chair.
Yeah.
Because if you won't, someone else will. Go ask the Mets. They're not any good, but at least they have an owner that cares and wants to win.
He tried. He spent the money. He did what he was supposed to do. But yeah. We could talk about another story with owners. We won't, but just to brush on it, the A's have officially applied for relocation. Nobody's really talking about it because, I mean, everybody knew this, but this was just they officially applied according to their owner. But that's another messy situation there. That's already in sell the team territory. That's not we're trying to convince you to sign players because you already had that chance and you screwed it up. So I don't know. I'm thankful for a good owner. You're thankful for a good ownership group, right?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm glad my team has some brains. I'm glad they could use their brain.
Magic
Very happy
Johnson.
for that. Yes, even though he really just kind of just signs the check.
I think he's a pretty minority owner, right?
Well, yeah, because he's Commanders too now.
Oh yeah, that's right. So yeah, he got out of the GM business real quick.
Yeah, don't ask Laker fans about no. Let's not do that.
That's fair. But you got anything else you want to add in, Mello?
I got really nothing, honestly. I mean, the Ohtani is the biggest story of the week, but other than that, it was kind of not really a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-mm.
We're right at the end of the dog days of summer. I mean, you can argue we're probably out of it now because we're in a pennant race now.
That's right.
Some of these divisions that we thought that were not going to be any good this year and not interesting, they're going to come down to the wire. And that's going to be fun.
Yeah, we're
I say
looking
that
at
because my
you,
Dodgers
AL
are
West.
12 games up in the division, so I can coast.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Everything for episode 33 then. Thank you guys for watching, listening. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and drop a subscribe. That doesn't make sense. Go ahead and subscribe, Matt. I just really messed that up there, but that's okay. All right, and we'll see you again on Monday. Hopefully we'll get Kyle back in here again soon. He's been real busy. So
Yeah, you can get tired of hearing my voice.
and mine too. So we'll make Kyle do a couple
Never.
solo episodes, make up for it. All right, we'll see you guys later.
Adios.